Thank you. Okay, so I hope everyone is able to see my screen. We'll just go through the agenda quickly, just to kind of let you know what we'll talk about. So again, it's all about the Pomodoro method. So we're going to first have a little icebreaker activity to gauge and see how you manage your time. And this will be kind of just an interactive get to know you. And then we'll get into understanding the Pomodoro method. Really the idea of it, its founding, and what it is exactly. And then we'll jump into an interactive activity. And again, it's a miniature version of it because we're working with half an hour. And then we'll debrief with the activity. We'll see how we're feeling. We'll talk about some of the benefits. And then we'll end with a conclusion and some references that I've used for the PowerPoint, but also references and resources for you to use the Pomodoro effect on your own time. Okay. Oh. All right. So let's kind of think about and spend a few minutes on this question about what are some common challenges that you face when you try to manage your time. So you can think, very specifically, you can think more broadly, but if you do, again, kind of encounter challenges when you're managing your time, prioritizing your time, what are they? So you can put your ideas in the chat. I'll pause for a minute or two, and then we'll come together and see the ideas that we've brainstormed.
These are great. I see lots of distractions being mentioned, and also family and work commitments. Maybe conflict between all the different things that we have to do.
Yeah, and these are really good ideas, and thank you for sharing. Some procrastination, Netflixing, distractions, like Sarah said, family and work commitments. Personally, even if I'm at my computer and working, I get sidetracked with things on my computer, different emails, phone calls on the phone. The idea of hyper focus, so spending too much time maybe on a task, scheduling arrangements from midterm assignment conflicts. Yeah. And I appreciate you thinking about some of the challenges that you have. So this is kind of a way to get us started with this idea. So if it sounds familiar, don't worry, you're not alone. A lot of us get distracted when we're trying to complete tasks, and especially staying focused for short and long periods of time. So this is what the Pomodoro method is really intended to focus on. So I'm going, and again, if you think of some more ideas, please feel free to keep the chat going. Sarah will be monitoring the chat, but I'm a little bit aware of time, so I want to make sure we get through all the ideas and the details. So moving into just understanding what it is. So the Pomodoro method was developed by Francesco Cirillo in about the late 1980s to enhance focus and efficiency. So he was a university student who felt that it was really hard to focus. So he was in his kitchen and he kind of looked around and he noticed the tomato timer. And that's what a pomodoro is in Italian, a tomato. So he set the timer, and he found that when he set the timer and worked for the amount of time that he set, he was able to be more efficient and work more productively. So this idea is really based on breaking down the work into intervals or pomodoros with short breaks. So typically speaking, we would have three kind of sets. We would set our timer for 25 minutes to begin a task. And then once that timer rings, you would take a 5-minute break. Again, generally speaking. But before we set the timer, and sometimes I notice myself too, I don't have an intentional task or an intentional goal to work towards. So sometimes I'll say, I have to complete a PowerPoint deck, and that's it. And I noticed that if I do set the time, I'm not able to complete it because the intention, although good, was not clear for myself. So it's important to choose an intentional task, something that's manageable, something that you could complete in the time given. So the nice thing about the Pomodoro method is that it is flexible in the sense that you don't always have to set it for 25 minutes. Or if you have, a smaller task to complete, let's say you just have to write an email and that's it. You may not need 25 minutes to do that. So you could intentionally cluster a few smaller tasks in order to complete it and feel that efficient kind of productivity. And then again, typically, if we do continue to use Pomodoros, after 4 Pomodoros, we take longer breaks in between. So it's just a way to kind of be more intentional with the task that we have to do within the amount of time that we set for ourselves. And when we finish, we are able to complete the task that we set. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next slide, and then we're going to get into an activity. So the ways to maximize productivity. So the Pomodoro effect really breaks down complex projects. So again, going back to that example of the PowerPoint deck, maybe it's not finishing the entire deck, but maybe it's, working on slides 1 through 5. So breaking down those complex projects into more manageable pieces and using the method in order to achieve those goals. And like I already said, kind of small tasks that can go together. So if you have one of those days where you just have a to-do list that are a lot of little things to complete, maybe we can put those together, set 1 Pomodoro and say, okay, in this amount of time, I'm going to complete the first 4. And then once the Pomodoro is set, it must ring. So again, the intention is to not stop the timer, that to be efficient and kind of mindful with the task and to just work until we hear that ring. So we're going to get into a quick activity, interactive activity. So let me just go to the next slide. All right. So this activity will be done within 6 minutes, the next 6 minutes. So the first 5 minutes, I'd like you to set an intention, set a task that you can complete in 5 minutes. And I know that's not a lot of time, but it could be, and I gave some prompts, writing a to-do list, maybe writing a note to yourself, maybe a note to not forget something, finish an email. So to pick a task that you can start and complete within the 5 minutes. And then the last minute, again, on a smaller scale, you'll have 1 minute to stretch, breathe, have some water, have some tea, have some coffee. And then once we finish this task and break, we're going to debrief and see how we feel with what we've done. So if you notice on the screen, there's 6 red dots, okay? Each dot represents 1 minute. And once the timer goes, you'll see the red dot slowly disappear. So what I'm going to do is I see that a lot of you have stopped sharing your screen, but if you are sharing, you may not share your screen if you'd like to work on your task. And then after the 6 minutes, I will also come back on. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen as well. And it'll be, just watch out for the screen. I don't want to interrupt or, interrupt your task. So 5 minutes for the task and then 1 minute for the break. Okay. So I'm going to start that now. Okay. See if I can bring everyone's attention back. And I hope you had the 1 minute break to stretch, breathe, have something to drink. So I have 2 questions now to debrief this, again, mini activity with the Pomodoro. How did the 5 minutes of focus feel? Did the technique help improve concentration during the 5 minutes? Again, these are just some starter questions, but if there's anything that you noticed as you were working, when you finished working, that you'd like to share, we'd love to hear. So Sarah got an email done.
I'm just going to jump in, Angelica, and say that I kept getting distracted by the Pomodoros, though. I was like loving watching the little timers kind of unfold. I got almost mesmerized by that. I don't know if that happened to anyone else.
I tried to make them look like little tomatoes, but. So that is a distraction. Absolutely. It can be. You could have, the timer on your phone and kind of put your phone behind you so you're not distracted with it, or you could get an actual, kitchen timer that you could use. So there's lots of different ways to set the timer.
How about anyone else? Did other folks? I see one person who's giving me a thumbs up for getting my email done anyway.
Yeah.
Other people, did you get what you wanted to do done? Did you feel focused? Have you tried this kind of thing before? Oh, right on, Mirren. Yeah, I love it that you committed to taking the break. I know that's actually can be the hardest part in some ways, especially if you have good focus, that you kind of want to keep going and you're tempted not to take the break. Do you find that, Angelica?
I do, because I always think the next task will take not that long. So if I just do it, then I'll be done quicker. So, which is one of the benefits of the technique too, which I can mention now, is just that it does help prevent burnout and that mental fatigue, that it forces a break, just to kind of step away from whatever you're doing, do something different, and then come back.
Oh, there's a great question in the chat. Angelica, do you want to start it? Abigail says, what about the stress
Yeah.
factor? How do you avoid feeling like you're on a race? Yeah, and that it can increase your stress.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. My suggestion would be, when we think about the task or that intentional goal that we have to work through. So thinking of something that is manageable, but also being kind to yourself to say that if it's not complete by that time, it's okay. You can work on it. You can continue kind of working on it in a different Pomodoro. It may feel a little bit restrictive in the sense of the time. But and that's why it's very flexible and kind of adaptable, because you are the one setting its boundaries. So if you feel that 20 minutes is enough to do that particular task to complete, but if you don't complete it, then that's okay. You can continue working on it in another kind of clump of time. So that's how I would answer that question. I know I do also understand the stress factor, but if there's Sarah, if I missed anything, or if there are any suggestions you would like to add for that question.
I think it's a great question. Yeah. And it is something I think one thing that I've heard is, for some people, having the stresses really helps you focus, and for others, it can be distracting. And sometimes you can distinguish between the goal and an intention, right? And if you are someone who gets stressed out, maybe you don't want a specific goal. Maybe you want to just say, okay, my intention is to start working on this project and stay focused. And so use an intention to to help you, to calmly open my workbook and or my textbook, then do my reading or whatever it is. So incorporate that into what your goal is. And you want to know yourself in terms of the time, right? 5 minutes maybe is more stressful than 25 minutes because it was so short. So you might try it with the 25 minutes and see what time works for you. I know Cirillo and the Pomodoro really like the 25 minutes, but I think you can add some flexibility to that depending on how you work.
Absolutely. So we have some more comments that finding the technique useful when you specifically you have to write something. So keeping writing so really focus on the writing aspect of it. And for this activity, being fully focused and completed in the task. There's another question that came up. Does the technique still work if we skip a break? If we skip a break time and go on further, or is the break something that has to be done? I think the breaks are very encouraged because it gives us that distance between the task and the focus that we've just put in that 25 minutes, and allows us an opportunity to kind of take a step back from that and then to approach it again with a focused mind. So I would say, to include the break. Again, you don't have to if you don't want to, but I think with the Pomodoro technique, that's what it's encouraged to do, is to have a very focused work session and then to have a very focused break. So just to summarize, I know we mentioned some of these benefits, so I won't repeat the ones that we spoke about, but just helping to overcome that procrastination, maybe not knowing where to start. Using this technique can help that. Again, setting those intentional goals, creating that sense of accomplishment or increasing motivation. So I know some of you have said, oh yeah, I did a small task and I was able to complete it. So, even if it's even if it's just one email, having that sense of accomplishment to say, you know what, I did it and it's off my to-do list, is a big thing, especially even for me. I am very happy to be able to take even small things off my to-do list, and just kind of giving another type of technique, another way to improve time management when tasked with things that we have to do. So I'm going to end off with just a list of resources and some resources for you to incorporate the Pomodoro method into your own life. So we have some apps that you could use. There's some websites you can visit, but they are here for you to explore and see just, again, what works with you. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Sarah. And if you do have any questions, you can feel free to ask. We're here.
Good luck with time management. Good luck with procrastination. We'll stop it or we'll reduce it. Anyway, thanks for coming, everyone. And hopefully see you at some more sessions. We'll be hanging around too. Bye.
Bye. And I think Melanie asked about the slides. I think they are available. They are posted in our session.
Angelica, do you have is that timer? Like, did you create that or was that the customizable? I'm just looking at these resources.
The timer's in PowerPoint. So it's in the animation.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So you can do multiple and then you can set it for different times. And then you can, one follows another. You can take a break. And so and you can do different shapes and stuff. It's pretty neat.
Fun. For the retreat tomorrow, I don't have a timer like that, but I might see if I can put one in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, under the animations, you can find it. Yeah. So, good.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't know if there's any more questions. I think we're good.
I think so.